Fellas, it's a new season and a gameplay preview trailer just got dropped on us. We're gonna be breaking this down today, guys. Normally, I'll show you the entire trailer, but this one's like 5 minutes long. If you have not seen it in its theatrical form, feel free to click the link in the description. That'll actually take you to Bungie's YouTube channel, and then you can come back. This is purely a breakdown, and there's a lot to break down. So first up, Bungie opens up with our Titan Barricade in its new look. Like, we knew that Barricades were getting a rework, but this looks like a sideways rift. You could shoot through it. If you remember correctly, I was pretty upset because Barricades essentially got a small bump there in health, but simultaneously got a drop there in its defense against special weapons. Now, the question's gonna come up, is this actually being caused by a rework to Titan Barricades, or is this just like a Titan exotic that grants this new Barricade animation? I have no idea, but we'll find out here in a few hours. Moving on. Next up, they go over the narrative, what's going to be happening there in terms of that Scion, the Cabal, and I really think they're going to just wrap up the entire Cabal storyline. Like, they're going to wrap up two. They're going to wrap up Cabal and perhaps go ahead and wrap up Rasputin. Now, Rasputin has all these hidden bunkers that are located all over the place. Inside of them are a bunch of things that aren't supposed to be there. So I guess that's what we're supposed to do. We're just going in there and cleaning them out. Then they show new gameplay of the new seasonal activity, Seraph Towers. Similar objective to what we've seen before. Kill enemies. Some of them drop orbs. You throw those orbs, looks like directly at the Seraph Tower itself. Then we see the legendary lost sectors, which I was pretty curious about because I didn't know what they were going to do to amplify these lost sectors. Notice this servitor right here says barrier servitor, which is huge, meaning the elements of overload, unstoppable, as well as barriers are going to apply here to lost sectors, thus substantially making them much more difficult. Now, inside of these legendary lost sectors, though, you'll be able to spawn what I think is called like the Lost Guardians of the Warmind, which is like this humanoid right here. We didn't know if he was going to be enemy or not. Called an elite heavy frame though, and he looks pretty cool. He also is not shooting us, so anything that wants to help us, I'm down. Now you probably see right there, yes, our Guardian is holding Dire Promise. Dire Promise was a 150 round per minute hand cannon back in year 1 of Destiny 2, one of the most popular hand cannons, and for good reason. It was fantastic, and yes, it's making a return. Now I don't know if some of these weapons are going to be tied to these legendary lost sectors, if they're going to be tied to roll drops, or the new player activity for the season. I'm sure they're going to be distributed in some sort of way. As soon as we know how to get Dire Promise though, I'll let you know. Now moving on, we got to see some trial gameplay in that auto rifle that's been buzzing for quite some time. We've been calling it the return of Doctrine of Passing. Some have stated that it's just Summoner. I personally think it's got more of a Doctrine of Passing aesthetic, but we do get to see some gameplay here of it absolutely shredding. Now, damage values are very funky inside of Trials, and I'm hoping at some point Bungie's going to talk to us about that, how damage values are going to change. Regardless though, it's hard to tell what archetype this auto rifle falls under. I'm thinking 720 is what I'm thinking, like 600, maybe 720 is what I'm seeing here. I think originally we thought it was going to be a 900 round per minute auto rifle, which is what it was back inside of Destiny 1, which it very well could still be. It's just been a minute, boys. I haven't seen a 900 round per minute auto in quite some time, but when I look at this gameplay, I'm like, I don't know, 720, like I just want to play it safe, right? You guys tell me though. Moving on, we have a fusion rifle from Trials. We also get to see the back of these Guardians with many of the Trials weapons and apparel looking pretty sexy, as well as Saint 14 and what appears to be the new take on the Lighthouse. Now, I don't know if this is the only place you're going to get rewards. It's speculated that there's going to be like a portion that is just going to be cut off for our flawless players. Not sure how you're going to get your rewards there, but the gear looks very high. Hands down, the sexiest Trials gear from Destiny 1. Now, moving on, we got to take a look at the new artifact for this season, which is a lot to discuss in this image. First up, the artifact that the cursor is actually on. This is a class item mod called Passive Guard. Receive less damage from combatants that are close to you while you are wielding a sword. As you know, swords are getting a complete rework there. This is obviously going to be very beneficial. I wish it read something like, stop mechanic doesn't send you into outer space when wielding a sword. You know what I mean? Now the next class item mod, Soul of the Praxic Fire. Activating solar class abilities grants an overshield and increases the cooldown of your class ability. All right, boys. Solar Battery. We also have Tyrant Surge. Defeating a combatant with a 7th Seraph weapon has a chance to drop a Warmind cell multiple copies of this mod do not stack. Then it states underneath it, dealing damage with an arc melee, super, and grenade abilities spawns a Warmind cell. Oh, that's pretty neat. Overall, some pretty sexy mods, but let's just take a look at what we see here on the rest of this artifact. First, underneath Tyrant Surge. Yes, that most definitely looks like the return of Thunder Coil. Don't know if you've had flashbacks of one-hit melees. Could be a different element, but it does have that coil look to it, if I'm remembering correctly. Can't really tell what the other mods are, but let's just look at the barrier rounds. Looks like we're gonna have anti-barrier rounds for SMGs, as well as sidearms. Overload rounds for auto rifles, as well as SMGs, as well as hand cannons and sidearms, and then unstoppable rounds for our hand cannons. As far as unflinching perks go, we do see an auto rifle unflinching perk, enhance. We also see enhanced targeting, but for scatter shot, which is very interesting. Normally you see enhanced targeting for a specific perk or a specific weapon type, like linear fusion rifles. In this case, you'll be able to gain the benefits of enhanced target acquisition for everything that is covered by scattershot, which is a lot. SMGs, fusion rifles, auto rifles, all of these will have enhanced targeting. Bungie is really trying to get an auto rifle meta. Now we also have something there that looks like enhance heavy. I don't know. I look at that image, I'd see heavy, as well as a sword, which what looks to be like sword scavenger, but maybe like an increased version of it. Either way it goes, guys, those are the new mods that I can pick through and see. Again, just here in an hour, we're gonna have access to all of this. Now moving on, we see some gameplay of the new swords. Remember, the sword is supposed to have a continuous cycle in its melees, right? You can just continually keep attacking over and over again. Hard to really tell right here because he does a couple of light attacks and then he does like a heavy attack. Absolutely throws that knight though into outer space. But then we see the modifiers for the new Nightfall ordeals. So currently right now, we already have all of these modifiers, with Master being the highest, granting us exotic gear, prisms, ascended shards, all that juicy stuff. But then they're gonna take it a step further. Grandmaster. Now it states that Grandmaster difficulty in Nightfall the Ordeal opens April 21st. It has a couple of different modifiers, including Extinguish, something called Prime modifiers, as well as limited revives. Pretty wild there. Now the rewards are exotic gear common and ascended shard common. So they've outright taken away prisms in this, and instead of ascended shards being uncommon, they'll be common. I don't know. I think it's gonna be hell, man. Like, I'm glad they give you exotic gear through all of this, and it's honestly like one of the best ways to farm for exotics. But considering the difficulty, because they actually bring it to depth, that this is going to be harder for even the most hardcore PvE players. I'm actually really curious to know what the loot drops are going to be like in comparison to just basic master version of our Nightfall ordeals. Because outside of like the novelty, people may still farm master Nightfalls over this new Grandmaster they're trying to introduce. Then we get to see the new armor layout. Yes, armor 2.0 is changing. And then they actually show you actually being able to change the elemental affinity, which I thought was really cool. So you had options here. Right here to turn it to arc, you have to do an upgrade module, some glimmer, 15 legendary shards, and 5 enhancement cores. Now this is to put it back at the same level you had it at in its previous form. So of course it's going to require you to spend the same material again. Now if you don't want to do that, and I guess you want to like manually upgrade it, it does have the option over there where you can reset it back to level 1, thus probably only costing a certain amount of glimmer and an upgrade module, or just an upgrade module. This is really going to change up the dynamic though going into next season, guys. All of us has been frustrated by elemental affinities. I'm not going to say this is going to completely fix everything, because you still got to have the materials, but for some of us out there that are trying to perfect that build, and that last little piece is being held back by simply not matching the right elemental affinity, this is going to do wonders. Now notice right here, this was very interesting. The new 7th Seraph plate armor, and probably just new armor for this season, is going to have the ability to apply not just mods going for this season, but also mods from previous seasons. That's a big one. Things like protective light, high energy fire. Now it's still going to have its elemental associations. Obviously that's how they keep them balanced. Regardless though, it's going to get kind of crazy, because I feel like there's going to be this intermix of all these different mods to create whatever build you're trying to create. Now moving on, we get a look at all of the old faction armor making its return. That's right, they are actually going to be roll drops, meaning they can pretty much drop from anywhere, including legendary Ingrams. And if you happen to unlock previous ornaments for all of these, yes, you could still apply them here. They also show some gameplay of Tommy's matchbook. Now, it was speculated last week that Tommy is a 900 round per minute auto rifle, which I can definitely see. Someone actually slowed down the time It was like matching the beat. Somehow I did some math and was like, yo, it's a 900 round per minute auto rifle, which is pretty crazy. Again, we'll know for sure here in about an hour. Well, fellas, that's pretty much it. There was probably some stuff I overlooked. We're on a time crunch today, guys. I've got Sandbox patch notes that are literally about to be pushed out right now. So I'm going to be blowing up y'all's feed probably all day long today. But thank you so much for sticking around. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.